I'm Louis. I'm 30 years of age. I'm originally from Kirby in Liverpool. I was born in Walton Hospital in the 5th of February 1993. And then I lived there for the past 15 years. The past 15 years, just.
But tell us from as far as you remember.
Okay, wait, let me think, because I don't even remember fucking last week. So let me think about this. Don't make me go that far, because I don't want to go back that far, because that's horrible time. I'm Louis. I'm 30 years of age. I'm from Liverpool, and they call me the Benidorm Fanatic. I was raised on a council estate by my grandparents. I lived there up until I was about 15, 16 years of age. My grandparents looked after me. Unfortunately, my parents weren't able to do so. I was an only child, and they still weren't able to look after me. My father spent most of his time in prison. I went to see him up and down the country, from Scotland down south. My mother, unfortunately, had a tough life growing up, so she had a drug and alcohol addiction. So I had to make a life for myself. I chose when I was 16 to leave the home and move on to a hostel in Chester. So I remember what I remember about moving to the hostel was a very scary time. I was very young. Um, because of my past, my childhood, I was very thin. So I didn't get much I didn't get much care as a young child. So I was very afraid moving into this hostel. There was a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of scary people, a lot of gangs, and I remember locking myself in a room for months in the hostel and going out and just trying to find work. And what I did, I found a job in a local bar, restaurant, and it was a wonderful place. I remember going for an interview, and there's about several guys in there, and all dressed smart, all very tall, very handsome, and then it was me, no teeth in my head, practically homeless, going for this job interview. And I think the woman that owns the bar and restaurant, I think she felt sorry for me and gave me the job. From there,
What was your job?
so at first I was just the woman's. I was just holding the bags, opening doors for her, like a personal assistant. Because I think she was something to do. She was a title lady, so she was, very well known. The nightclub was a very exclusive nightclub. Now Chester, as a lot of people know Chester, it's very well known for its homeless, but it's a beautiful place. From there, I got a job behind the bar. After that, I got I was practically, running the place. Um, and yeah, I started to get my life back. I started to build myself up very well. So in that workplace, I really found my feet, who I was. I started to build my confidence up. Also, it helped me with my sexuality as well, so I got to meet like-minded people. Because for me, I was very lucky. I grew up with my grandparents, and my uncles were gay, my aunties were gay, so I seen how everyone reacted with them. So it was very easy for me to come out um, as homosexual at the time. So I was very lucky there.
Do you
Um,
remember what you did or how it came out?
how it came out, well, I was really drunk. I was actually at a house party with my uncle and my aunt, and I got ridiculously drunk and just blurted it out and started. I remember crying for about 6 hours straight after that, because the relief, the tension, and anybody who's been through that will understand, because it just actually saying the words is one of the hardest things you can ever do. But once it's over with, and I just felt so light, and it was yeah.
Do you have any reaction? Or certain like negative reaction?
The I was Because of my background, I was grew up in a lot of gangs, because I wasn't from a privileged home, so I grew up in a lot of gangs, and my friends were all gang members. Um, so some of their reactions were unsupportive, but most of them were actually quite supportive about it. But as time went on, they didn't quite understand it, which is fine. But that sort of lifestyle isn't what I wanted anyway. So I moved on eventually. Once I got work, and soon after, when I was working in Chester in the nightclub, I was doing quite well. I was becoming quite successful in that place. We'd done a lot of celebrity parties. the likes of Karen Brady's. I'd done VIP dinner for her. We had a lot of local celebrities come in to do events, so I was a personal waiter for them. After that, she taught me a lot in that place. It really helped me a lot. That's where after that I also met my husband at the time. We then went on to get a B&B in North Wales in Pwllheli. Now I remember us both meet when we first met. It was our first home together. It was one of the most exciting things we'd done. And we both went looking at many houses all throughout Wales. Some of them in the middle of nowhere, where it wasn't you'd get snowed in, you'd never be able to find, you wouldn't be able to get out again. And then other places that were spectacular. But we found a massive big building, and I remember my husband saying to me at the time, the worst thing that can come out of this is you can make double your money because renovating this place by the worst house in the best position, and that's what we did. And I got a little job. We put everything into it. I got a little job in the bar next door of the woman who owned it, and we done it out room by room. It was a complete wreck. We done it all myself, and we got some contractors in to do the main works, but we done one room. I remember putting a mattress on the floor. We slept in the lounge, a little box television. We done one room up, and we rented it out to one guest. Got €60, and I thought this is easy money. This was great. And then we've done another room and then another room, and then it became a very successful bed and breakfast. And if you look on TripAdvisor, it was a successful bed and breakfast, and it was one of the best. Um, we also want to film on Four in a Bed, Channel 4's Four in a Bed, which unfortunately, at the last minute, my husband was quite ill. So we had to cancel the filming for that. But that was an amazing experience in itself. Obviously, not my husband being ill, but being on Four in a Bed. Um, Soon after that, we bought a caravan. So my husband and I could have some peace, because when you live on top of a business, especially bed and breakfast, and people who've been in this industry will understand, that's 24 hours. People used to call me at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Now I like to have a good time in those days, so I'd be out on the lash having a drink, come back 2 o'clock in the morning, someone ringing at 3 o'clock when you just get in bed. It's not great.
Do you remember some of the places you used to go out to?
Yeah, so I was quite, I was quite because of the business we bought it. And it was a small village. Pwllheli's a small village in North Wales, So um, it's not a place that's the most open-minded. Obviously, I love Wales. I see that as my home because I spent most of my life there. Um, but it's a small village. When we moved there, one because me and my husband were homosexual, I didn't think we'd be accepted, and two, there was an age gap between us as well. But we got accepted by the community, and so I used to go out a lot. I was respected because I employed local people as well, and I've done a lot for the community. We've done a lot for charity as well in the bed and breakfast. Sooner as soon as the bed and breakfast became successful, I then went into business with the pub next door. So I started running the pub next door. All my staff were all my friends. I love my staff. I know they say you should never be friends with your staff, but I loved every one of my staff, every one of them, and they all love me as well. And if they're watching this, they'll say the same thing. But I went into business with my accountant, who was also my close friend, and because I was too busy running the bed and breakfast as well, I was very young. I've been into business since I was very young. It's not many people had opportunities at my age to do what they've done. Um, and she conned me out of that business. So I lost it. I lost, and I loved it. Bed and breakfast was a job that made very good money. It was easy money. It was very good money. But the pub wasn't like going to work. It was socialising, because I've always been a fun, outgoing person who likes drinking, who likes having a good time. So the pub was just a fun thing to do, and I really enjoyed it. But my best friend done that to me, which hurt my feelings. Needless to say, after she took over and conned me out of the business, um, the staff and everyone didn't accept her. She soon left and didn't do very well after that. Because of the shame of that, as well, we bought a caravan, and we went to move it into a beautiful caravan. We paid 70, 80 grand for this lovely luxury caravan. The static homes, and we lived in that for a while. Whilst we still had the B&B, we got a manager in the B&B. The B&B was thriving, but we realised the site fees on the caravan were very, very expensive, talking 8,000 to 9,000 a year. So we were on holiday in Forteventura, and we seen this property in France that came up, and they wanted to swap for a caravan, a motorhome. And when you're a child and you draw a house on a picture, it's the perfect looking house with two windows either side, a door in the middle, perfect roofed, lovely little country house. I said to my husband, I woke him up at 4 o'clock in the morning, pissed from being out on holiday. I said, look at this house, they want to swap. We've got a caravan we don't want, so let's message them. 3 months later, we moved to France, and it was the most miserable day. I've never been to France before, never wanted to move to France. Always brought up to believe the French were the worst people on the planet. Um, and we just turned up with all our stuff, our animals, in a van, and to France. It was a miserable day. It was wet. It was raining. It was horrible. And we got to the house, and it was beautiful. And then from there,
Animals? What animals?
so I had at the time I had Hugo, who's now gone, bless him. He's not with us anymore. And I had Penny, my dog, who's still here with us. She's getting out. She's old now. So yes, we moved with the dogs. Did they have any cats? No, I didn't have any cats then. And we started doing that house up and living in that house, and it was a wonderful experience.
So explain what your house looked like. So I get what you said about the picture. So looking at the front of your house, right?
Okay, so the house was a beautiful, um, how would you call it? Detached cottage, with land. It had about 2,000 square meters of land facing it, and it had land at the back in a beautiful rural setting. It was a really beautiful, beautiful house. Of what you call a chocolate box sort of cottage, if you understand what I mean. But it was wonderful. We had our own orangery. We had everything. It was really, really nice. We done that out. It was already beautiful when we got there, but we done a lot of work to it. But unfortunately, when we were in France, being the person I am, seeing a lot of animal neglect was something that I couldn't get my head round. There was the neighbours, and the dog was on a lead in Bedward's collar, and started to see things on the internet about donkeys that needed rescue and horses in terrible situations. So I thought to myself, someone's going to do something about this. This isn't right. This isn't good. There were charities out there that were making a big impact, that were great, but someone had to do something about it. So I remember rescuing my first two donkeys from the donkey trade, skin trade here in Spain. We brought them down, um, and they had long hooves and whatnot. We looked after them for a while. From there, I started rescuing pigs from local people that neglected them. Then dogs. We got a great big dog, German Shepherd cross. She was adorable, absolutely adorable.
What was the name?
Savekia, yeah, which is Maggie in French. And we started. I got rescued a little dog, who was dumped on the motorway when they were going. They decided to move. The French couple decided to move. They threw this old dog that he's had for 15 years out on the motorway and left it. So I rescued him. He was an amazing little dog. He died of cancer just before we came here, because they never got him castrated or whatever. And then I opened an animal charity then. So the animal charity, we started rescuing loads of horses, loads of donkeys. They were coming in every night. They were calling me. The meat man was saying, "We've got horses. They're about to have babies." There was babies in the truck. All traveling from the south of France back up to the north of France. So I'd take them all in. I started to rescue them, and it became an addiction, and it had a massive impact on my whole marriage and my whole life. I ended up in hospital. I'm not going to say what happened to me, but I ended up in hospital. I was walking my horses one day, and I collapsed. I came back in and collapsed, and it was all too much. And I had a revelation when I was in hospital. I've rescued a lot of animals now. I need to stop now. I need to stop this now because it's becoming an addiction, and I didn't have the facilities anymore to cope with them, but I still kept taking them in because I felt as though I had to. Someone had to do it. It's either that or they get slaughtered or killed, And some of the things I see in there will in France. Well, it's not about France, but some of the things I seen with what I was doing affected me, and I still have nightmares about it today. It was just terrible. I don't think I'll ever get over the things that I've seen, what people are capable of doing to animals. Um, But that's a chapter in my life. Moving forward to here, what I wanted to put behind me, and it had a massive impact on my marriage. We split up. Um, we weren't happy with each other anymore because of all the stress that we've been through. My husband was very ill as well. I was trying to look after everything and everyone, as well as the house. And by that time, we got a bigger house with lots of land because with more animals were coming in. So we sold that one, got a bigger house, and it just all became too much. And then when me and my husband split up, um, I walked away, went to live with a friend, took my bags, my clothes, and went to move in with her for a while. With everything I had and she had lots of land, so I got rid of most of the animals, found them great homes, and I had a few left with me, a few donkeys and my big horse, which I never ever wanted to get rid of. I always said I'd keep her all my life, and I had a blind pony and my 4 dogs and many cats. Took them all with me. Unfortunately, it was hard for my friends and whatnot, so we had to rehome them. And I thought this is the time I move on and start a whole new chapter in my life. And my husband had always spoke about Spain. We'd always spoke about Spain, and I'll be honest, I was a bit of a Benidorm snob. He always spoke about Benidorm, and I was like, "You won't get me to Benidorm." I love traveling. When we had the B&B for that time, it was a conveyor belt of making very good money. We travelled the world. We literally travelled the world, and I was a bit of a snob back in them days. Come from the background that I had. I wanted to enjoy life. I was nouveau rich. I was just like thinking I could just have and do what I wanted. I went on luxury cruises. I went and stayed in the most luxury hotels in Mexico. I travelled everywhere, and I had a wonderful life with him. I mean, that's one thing we can say. We're still very good friends. We went all around the Caribbean. But anyway, back to here.
So what about being in France? You met partner in France.
Yeah, this is it. So I was just moving to Spain when I met my now fiance. I was just moving to Spain, and I was just browsing on Tinder. I was just browsing on the internet, and I thought, "Do you know what?" Because I was a bit lonely then as well. I just split up from my husband. We've been together a long time. I met him from when I was young. Um, Life was a bit crazy. I just lost that. I was going through a lot of heartbreak. I just lost all my animals. I just lost everything. My home, my husband. It was a disaster. Plus there was COVID and everything like that that happened. It was
How was
just
that for you? The lockdown in France.
the lockdown was very difficult in France. But I was very lucky that my best friend had 2 kids, and I adored them 2 children and her. Unfortunately, it didn't work out with us neither. But it was easy for us because we were all together. We all had great times, and we lived in an open place. In the countryside. COVID was easy, but it was also quite a lonely time as well because obviously not having a partner or no one with you is difficult. But anyway, so I decided to go to Spain. So I got my tickets booked, I had my bags packed, and browsing through Tinder, and Pablo came up, and he looked very cultured. Now I love cultured people. He was in Paris, and he had this picture with, I think it was the Arc de Triomphe or something like that, in front of the Arc de Triomphe, and I thought he's very cultured. So I thought I'll meet him anyway, even though he looked like a fake account. Um, and he came and he stayed for a week, and we just had the best time, and that was it then.
So the night that I matched on Tinder with Louis, I was literally at home and staying in bed, and I was thinking to move as well. Like at that point of life, I was very bored in France, so I was like just fooling around the Tinder left and right. And when I saw Louis' profile, I remember he had only 3 pictures, and 2 of them was mostly the horse, not Louis, but the last picture was him like hugging the horse and he was kissing the horse. I was like, oh, that's sweet. Like I like horses as well, and I like why not? I like this guy, and it's matched. And I directly say hello and that,
So you
and
was the first person to message him.
yeah, I was the first one to message.
What was
And
your first
well,
message?
obviously, like Louis liked my profile, so directly when I swiped and matched, I was the one like to text her. So yeah, it was very different because before Louis, I was with someone, but it didn't end good. Not in the bad terms, but we didn't end up together. But even though, so I was also wanted to move, and also didn't want to be really in relationship. So we talked 2 days. On the second day, we just switched numbers, and we had WhatsApp calls. So on the WhatsApp calls, I was like very direct with Louis, and Louis was direct. And I was like, "Look, I'm looking for this and this. Like, I don't want to waste my time in that because I might move and something." But yeah, and we give it a shot. I went on his village when he lived,
So
and
how far distant was it from Paris to the village?
oh no, I didn't live in Paris.
Oh, was you not in Paris at the time?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. So to get to his village, it was a bit weird and complicated. So I took a blah blah car to a city, and he picked up with another friend. But it was a bit weird, and yeah, and that's how I. So from my place to go to Louis' place, more than halfway, because he picked me up with a friend, it was like an hour away. So I got the blah blah car. It was night and all that. Was a nice guy that drove. Like sometimes it's weird, and he picked me up with an old lady, his friend, and it was weird when I first saw him. I because we saw each other in the camera and the pictures. I thought he would be taller than me, but he was shorter than me, so it was funny when I met him. And yeah, it was lovely. Like he hugged me. He went straight for the hug on the first time, and. Yeah, we drive back, and we were a bit shy and at the beginning, and we slept at the first night. We didn't have much going on. We eat together and sleep. And tomorrow morning, like he showed me around, I got to see the horses and other thing, and he cooked something weird. I can't remember, but it was a bit weird. So, um, so when next morning we went with the horses. I went on the ride and all that, and it was a very nice experience and all that because I had to bond with the horse, and he was telling me step by step to clean the hooves, like how would you do it, and it was very very nice, and it was yeah a bit of romance and like hitting on each other, and yeah I stayed a week and went back home like 3 5 days, and Louis said like to come back again and that, and he said would you like to move with me and see where it goes, like if it works, and we liked each other obviously and all that. So I said yes, and I took a bag of clothes and moved in like very quick. It was, and that's how it happens.
Um, the restaurant.
So after a few weeks or a month and that, like Louis got the restaurant, and it was going through, and we looked at restaurants together and the other friend of Louis, and they liked it and all that. I liked it as well. It was nice. So at first I trained on the restaurant before they got to have it. Like a month I worked for free, so I learned how to do the steaks and the pizza dough and all that. Even though when we came I changed a few things, I had my own recipe. But yeah, it was very nice experience and all that. It was a bit stressful and a lot of work. I would work at least, well, especially for me, like it was at least 13 hours a day. Would go before it was open, make the dough, make everything fresh. We would do that every day because everything was fresh the whole time. And we had this thing like finding the best ingredients. We got a local cheese from a local farm and the burger steak somewhere, and it was very very nice. It was amazing.
I mean, I loved him right away. He was an incredible person, but um, and that's the decided no, we're not moving to Spain anymore. We're not moving to Spain. Sod the tickets, sod everything. We'll stay here. I then went on to buy a restaurant because he needed the job. I needed to do something. By that point, I'd got some, money from me and my husband splitting off. It's all gone through with the solicitors. and I didn't have quite enough money for a big business. So I went into business with my best friend, who I was living with at the time, and we'd done 50-50 on the business, the restaurant, and he was in the kitchen working hundreds of hours. He's an amazing worker. He works very hard, and we both were. We really tried to make it work. It became it was already a good restaurant, but it became a very successful restaurant. He was one of the best steak chefs. The steaks people used to come from everywhere for the steaks. The pizzas were incredible, um, but we couldn't cope with the workload, and I was having another breakdown again. So I decided we are going to Spain, and unfortunately, my friend was going through her problems. I don't want to speak about her, but she was going through her own problems, and she couldn't do the business with me. So I felt hurt by that and betrayed. And I thought I've done it again. I've made the mistake going to business with friends, and I just closed the business.
So how long from when you met Pablo for the whole period of your restaurant and everything was you in France before you then picked the bag up and went to Spain?
So I was in France for roughly 7 or 8 years. And I'll be honest, I haven't got good memories of France. I've got memories of the most beautiful big home and having the land and having the dream life, what you can have in France for your money. I've got good memories that I've met some wonderful friends in France, but I haven't got many good memories. I wish I'd have never left Wales. I know you shouldn't have doubts, but Wales was my happy place. I'd had good friends, business was doing well, and life was good. But I've always been the sort of person that I believe only the brave do well in life. And as my husband said, and he said it on our wedding day, every time I fall down the toilet covered in shit, I come back up covered in gold. And that's what he said he felt when he met me. And that was his wedding day speech. And that has always been me. And I'm hoping that's what will happen again in Benidorm. I've, yeah, and yeah, but since I closed the business down, and now I'm here in Benidorm, and I decided just to go.
So
And
how was your move from France to Benidorm? How'd you do it?
so
Yeah.
when we moved from France to Benidorm, I closed the business completely, which was the biggest mistake I ever made because I'll probably get nothing for it now. But my mental health was more important, and his as well. And we were both working ridiculous hours. We couldn't take it, so we decided. We looked on the map, and I said to him, I know where we'll be well. Benidorm, we'll do well. They're looking. That's a place where you'll always find work. It's a high tourist industry, and that's where we'll be able to build ourselves up again. My waiter had been going through a hard time. Troy, who lives with us, he'd been going through a hard time. I don't know whether you'll let me say, but he's been through a lot of bad things that's happened to him in his life. Um, he came along with us. I said, "Come on," because he just lost the job because he closed the restaurant. I said, "We'll all start a new life in Benidorm," and that's what we did. And we walked around every business in Benidorm. We got jobs like that.
I mean, how did you get from France to Benidorm?
How did we get from France to Benidorm? Well, so we all packed a little Peugeot 206 with every. We drove. But before we came to France, we went to Amsterdam. We went to Paris. We had a little holiday, a little break. I sold everything I had to come here. I sold my jewelry, my watches, everything I had in the house. I sold it all to come here. And we packed a little Peugeot 206 with very little left. And with me 4 dogs, because it's the only thing I couldn't bear to let go was my little dogs. We packed the whole car with everything, everything we had, and we just drove here and just took a risk. I hired an Airbnb in La Villa Rosa there, and it was a beautiful place for 3 months. I mean, I had several grand in the bank, and that was to get me through. And yeah, we went round, so I got a job in a local Indian restaurant.
That was your first job in Spain.
Yeah, my first job was in Spain was at Cafe India. Now, Cafe India is a very nice, and it's been reviewed as one of the best Indian restaurants in Benidorm. And I was very lucky to work there. Now, if I say so myself, a lot of people used to go there to see me. I was quite elaborate, I was quite a character. I found my happy place in Benidorm, so my whole personality changed. Even though I had nothing in the bank, I didn't care because I had Pablo, because he was a very bright, happy, fun person to be around. He's always positive, and Benidorm's a positive place in itself. A lot of people who live here probably wouldn't say that, but it is. So the restaurants really boosted me up, and it was nice not to worry about running a business, not to worry about taxes, not to worry about paperwork, not to worry about staff, just to get paid and go home. I was on very little money, and I didn't care. I didn't care because we were starting a new life, a new adventure, and that takes us where we are today.
So after, when did the Benidorm Fanatic start?
So from the Indian restaurant, I became quite well known. A lot of people used to come and see me. Then we then got started on television on Bargain Brits in the Sun. After that, and
Was that you first on Bargain Love and Brits?
that was me
Or you
first.
found the Benidorm Fanatic?
So I was first on Bargain Love and Brits with Cafe India, but then I hosted a drag and entertainment night. So we had two fabulous drag queens from Betty Boo's here in the Old Town, and we had a great night. Drag and curry night. I planned it all. The television crews were there, and that was a great success. In the Indian restaurant, we used to have because it became one of the best known Indian restaurants, and lots of people used to come in to see me. We started to get a lot of local celebrities come in and eat there, and they love my character. They love my personality. Because I'm a bit bonkers, to be honest. I'm just a little bit mad. Um, I then started doing TikTok Lives from there. I noticed TikTok because of the Benidorm TikTok guide, Nigel, who we call the King of Benidorm. He helped me out with it, and also I met Lee McMaster in there from YouTube, and he suggested that'd be good on YouTube as well. He done a little video with me, and then it just went from there. I called myself the Benidorm Fanatic. The idea come because since I moved to Benidorm, I thought this is because I was a bit of a Benidorm snob, like I said earlier. I never thought Benidorm was the place it was, and it's really cheered me up. And a lot of people are happy here. It's a very safe people. People are positive here. It's a fun environment, and I never thought Benidorm was the place it was. It's actually a really cool place, a really good place, and I love Benidorm. So that's why I call myself the Benidorm Fanatic, because I'm literally fanatical about Benidorm, and that's where that stemmed from. So I started doing TikTok lives, and TikTok itself really picked me up. It really cheered me up because I was talking to people. It helped me with my confidence. I was walking around. I was meeting people in the street. I felt as though I had a community again. And then I went on to start my own YouTube channel. Then all of a sudden, it became very popular. Everywhere I was going, people were taking photographs with me. The children were coming up to me. Everyone wanted to talk to me. Are you the guy from the Indian restaurant? Are you the guy from TikTok? Are you the guy from this? And I loved it. It was wonderful. But I felt very humbled by it. They come up to me and said, "Oh, you're this person. You're this person." I'm like, well, I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity when I'm meeting them because I felt humbled, and it's a weird feeling when that starts to happen. Um, but yeah, that was amazing. Then obviously the tabloids, the papers have recently started to pick up on that, and I've been in 6 papers up and down, even the Spanish tabloids. I've went on to do celebrity interviews. We've started now doing Benidorm Uncut which is going to be our latest YouTube TV channel. So that's exciting as well. We're hoping to have a lot of celebrity interviews, a lot more on that, and for the future, I'm hoping to progress onto to more to do with TV and more to do with the entertainment side of it. So it's a very exciting future ahead.
Name some of the celebrities you've spoken to.
So far, with myself and Benidorm Uncut, we've met Anton de Beck, we've met Chrissy Rock, we've recently done Paul Chuckle interview in Talk of the Town. With my good friend Matt Fisher. I have became very popular here, and that's why I love it here because it's my happy place. We've done Santiago, we've done Eminem. Who else? There's been quite a few people that have came through. Met the guys from Hollyoaks. Plenty of people, and I've also started. I haven't said that I also started to do work as a stripper, and I started to sit on stags' faces and whip them. So I became known for that as well. So
You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed whipping men. I enjoyed whipping it. So if anyone husbands have been badly behaved, bring them to me because I can destroy them for you. So yeah, but it was great fun. It was all for a laugh, and it was wonderful. I worked in Miller's Bar for a while. Unfortunately, I've got the dogs at home. I couldn't do them hours. so I had to leave there. But that's life, and I wanted to do something for myself, and I wanted to do something I've always wanted to do. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to make people happy. I wanted to be the Benidorm Fanatic. I wanted to progress here, and that's what I'm hoping to do at Benidorm Uncut TV as well. Is to do that as well. Is to carry on what I'm doing and do something on my own and be secure.